Hello guys, wanted to do this video to talk more about how we were able to scale a brand all the way to $85,000 in just 30 days with a 3.87 ROI. And just wanted to show you a quick proof of this. So this is what we were doing with Facebook ads for this clothing brand. And they're effectively a dress brand, and we were able to scale them up to these large numbers because they were struggling with ads to begin with because of the poor agency performance. But I'm going to go through the home framework. As you can see here, I have a system here which you can replicate for your brand and which you can effectively make sure that you are able to get great results, right? So I go through the whole steps and let's get into it. So as you can see here, we generated $85,000 with a $23,000 ad spend. So the process here was we effectively make sure that we scale when we see good ROI to begin with. So for example, you as a brand owner, you may have a set budget and you may be flexible with that budget, but over time, you're willing to spend more money if you see great results. So that's what we did with this brand. And you can see here, we got good ROI with 3.73. And some of these campaigns did very well. So you can see some had 4.43, 4.67. So we're effectively spending $1 to bring back $4.5 out, which is quite good in the e-com fashion brand world. So you can see some here, 6.23. Some were quite good because we were nurturing people who had heard of the brand before, but they hadn't purchased a product. So I'll talk in more detail about that, but I'm going to go through all of these steps. So stay towards the end, as I'm going to provide an insane amount of value that a lot of agencies and brands want to gatekeep, as you can imagine, because this is what's going to make you $100,000 every single month in revenue and in profit. So this is going to be a banger. So you can see here, in terms of the background, they were a dresses fashion brand, and they were in a certain category where they had to be diverse in terms of who they wanted to market to, and they're trying to target plus size individuals as well. So they had a separate category for that. They were selling dresses and tops as well as a bit of swimwear. So they had a diverse range of products which they could sell. They were struggling to scale with Facebook ads due to bad agency performance. And this is quite common with a lot of brands in the e-com and fashion space, where they work with agencies who effectively are promising the world but deliver nothing in return. And that's why you see a lot of these agencies who reach out to you, I'm sure, via email and Instagram DMs, who say that they can make you work with them for free, right? They don't charge up front. And if they don't get you the result you want, then they're going to refund you the money, even though they said they don't charge up front. And they said they'll give you a few grand for wasting your time. So you can imagine this is a bit of a scam, and it's just sort of like a ploy to get you in and just to use you as a test guinea pig for their inadequacies. So we don't do that. We know our value as a team and a marketing team, and we work with some of the best brands in the industry that they belong to. So we know exactly what it takes to get to the large numbers, and we are valued at what we're worth, and we understand that because if we were to do the same as these other agencies, you wouldn't value us as much, and this would cause a lot of problems down the line because we're effectively working for free, and it's not a level playing field at the end of the day, which is what a partnership is supposed to be. So in this case, this brand was struggling with their previous agency, with Facebook ads, and as you can imagine, they were quite frustrated, and they switched agencies quite quickly. They were losing faith in agencies as well. They started losing trust in agencies, thinking that they were all crap, they weren't really able to produce results, or that Facebook wasn't working for them. And I'm sure you're probably in that position as well if you're watching this video. You'll probably think that Facebook ad is very hard to master, very hard to get going for your brand. Maybe you run Facebook ads before, you're getting low conversion rates, low ROI, and low revenues compared to how much you were spending. And you weren't really sure as to why this was happening. So In this video, I'm going to go over all the steps that we took to get this brand to this level, and you should be able to replicate that too, given that you follow all the steps and make sure that you apply it to your brand. Because it's good of me to go over all of this, but if you're not able to replicate this for yourself and get to $100,000 in a single month in revenue, then it was really no point in watching this video, right? So it's very important that you take action on this, whether it is to book a call with me or whether it is to actually do this for yourself, which I'll go over at the end. So please stay to the end as I'm going to go into more detail. Now, we managed to scale them rather quickly because they had good creatives, and due to this Profit Safeguard Blueprint, which is our secret system and our unique system, which I created in order to make it as systematized as possible, where we could go take a brand from point A to point B, which is point B being their target revenue and ROI, and point A being their current situation with the ROI and revenues. So in this case, that is what we did. Now, let's talk more about the steps. So upon onboarding with the brand, we had our onboarding process where they filled in information about what they thought was their target customer and who their target customer was, what they like, what their dislikes were, what their pain points were, and unique selling points that the brand had that we could then go ahead and market to these people, right? So this is what we call the target customer analysis. Very important that we were able to establish this quite convincingly, because without this, you're going to end up with no direction in terms of marketing. You wouldn't know how you're going to market your brand to your target market. You probably wouldn't know exactly who your target market was, right? So it's very important that we establish this first before we get ads up and running. So this can happen relatively quickly, as we've done it time and time again, and we effectively use certain tools which enable us to expedite this process. So this is something that we are able to do quite well, and this is how we're able to get larger numbers, including $85,000 in a single month. So the next part is the creative analysis. Now, this part is also very important because we need to be using creatives that are going to work with the platform. So with Facebook, you can use all sorts of creatives. So it's good in that regard. So we take the brand's creatives. Effectively, what we do with them is that we look at how we can use very many variations of them as possible. So, for example, you may give us 100 images. We may want to use those images, make a carousel post where you would advertise that to different parts of the target market who resonate with that. We may also create a slideshow out of those images and see how the market responds to that, because some parts of that market may respond to videos and slideshows. So we go ahead and make sure we can create different types of these slideshows and videos, and also increases watch time, which we can use in the nurturing process, which I'll go into later on. We also use the images to do static images to show different static images to the different target market, and again, different parts of these people will relate to them in different ways. So that is what we do with creative analysis. And a lot of agencies, they feel like they need to use UGC content all the time. That's why you see all these agencies popping up saying, oh, UGC is the best, UGC is the best. And not necessarily, right? You can use all different types of high production content, which is going to convey your brand in a much better way. So using UGC, you lose your creative control when you do user generated content, right? And it may not appeal to your branding, right? So that's why we usually work with brands who sometimes they want to have their own branding, brand control, own creative control, and they are happy to do that. And we can make it work. You don't need UGC content to be able to scale Facebook ads, right? UGC ad can be good in certain situations, but it's not the be all end all, is what I would say to that. So whenever you hear agencies saying, oh, you need UGC, they're essentially lying to you, because that's not the reality when it comes to running high performance ads. Next, we go to the awareness phase, right? So an awareness phase can include some of these campaigns here. right? Where we start to target people with these creatives that we've found out, right? And we've established that would be a good idea to test, as well as using the target audiences that we would establish from the target customer analysis, right? And then we'll go ahead and start to test campaigns with these combinations of the creative and of the audience. So this is where we can start to see which ones are performing best to target people who have never heard of the brand before. And as a result, we'll find out that the ones that are performing the best are the ones that resonate with these cold audiences, right? Cold audiences are very important when it comes to scaling, because there's only so many people that are going to be in the lower parts of the funnel, whether it is conversion part or whether it is the nurturing part of the funnel, right? So we need to be targeting people who are going to be outside of those parts of the funnel, which includes people never heard of the brand before. So these includes tens of millions of people, even hundreds of millions of people, if you're talking worldwide or a massive country, right? So we need to establish how can we scale into those areas or these demographics, right, profitably. Okay, so that is what we did in this awareness phase. And you can see here some of these campaigns were doing good. So our target ROI for this brand was a 3x ROI. So you can see here a lot of these are above that, right? And admittedly, some of these that were not, we would turn off, right? And say, okay, from these results, what can we do and what can we learn from these results in order to make our future campaigns better, right? And it ends up being an iterative process. So after doing that, we go ahead and say, okay, this and this doesn't work, so we're not going to do that again, or we're going to make changes. Okay, and then we conversely, we're going to look at what did work, right? So, for example, these ones that may have worked or did work, we'll go ahead and say, okay, these characteristics of the ad campaign are working. Okay, so we duplicate those learnings and we go ahead and try to improve upon it and duplicate them out. And this is what we do in the awareness phase. And this is how we're able to scale to $85,000 in a single month with a 3.7x ROI. Then we've got the nurturing phase. So the nurturing phase is arguably the most important part of this process, because effectively what we're doing here is that we're targeting an audience that has some knowledge of your brand, but they have not purchased yet. So these are individuals who have either followed the brand on Instagram or Facebook, and these are people who have viewed the videos of the brand. Very important that we cater to these people because these audiences can be quite large, right? For this brand, we had an audience of around 250,000 people who were in the nurturing phase, right? So you can imagine that is a huge sum of cash, potential revenue that can be generated from these people. So what we did is that we kept on giving them different types of content, whether that is videos, communicating the products and the brand itself, included carousels, communicating different parts of the marketing aspects, USPs, right, unique selling points that the brand had. So it's very important that we were making sure that we were hitting them from different angles. And this is what a lot of agencies ignore when it comes to marketing to these type of audiences, because at the end of the day, they end up with very low ROAS, as you can see, as we end up with some of them here, but we turn them off. But in the case of agencies, they'll keep letting them run, and this is how they burn the brands. This is how they get very low ROIs, right? In this case, we're able to get 3.73, but a lot of agencies would be struggling to break even at 1x return on investment. So this is something that we make sure that we cater to very well. And if you want to know more, then let me know via Instagram, and I'll explain you to this in more detail. And also, you can check my previous videos where I go into more detail about nurturing phase and how you can apply that to your brand. Very important that you try to implement that. Then we have the conversion phase where you talk about how to convert the people who have gone through the nurturing phase and they're very close to purchasing the product. They just need an extra nudge in order to push them over the line. Maybe they need to be informed about how they can purchase in the different payment methods that the brand provides. Maybe we need to add in scarcity or urgency, fear of missing out, all these different tactics and marketing tools that we can use and lever in order to get them to purchase, right? Or maybe they wanted a discount, maybe they wanted free shipping. All of these different things we take into account when it comes to the conversion phase. And for many brands, the reason that a particular target customer may not buy is because they may have needed more information about the brand. Maybe they're not ready to buy at the moment. Maybe they got distracted when they saw the ad. And the list goes on because there are many, many different reasons why someone may not buy at a particular point in the customer journey. So it's very important, regardless of what the reason is, that we retarget them with different ads. We can probably use dynamic product ads as well, which is what we would have done in certain situations. For example, one of these were producing a 4.43, and we don't need to spend a lot of money. We're only spending $15 a day on these campaigns, right? These are our lowest budget campaigns because we know that we can get high ROI from these campaigns without spending a lot, because these guys are already ready to buy. Next, we had our retention phase. These are targeting people who have already purchased the products, or at least one product, and then we can upsell them, cross-sell, and downsell them different products in the different collections based on what they bought. So this is what we will communicate in the ads, and this would help to increase the lifetime value of the customer as well as the ROI overall. And this is what a lot of agencies miss out upon as well. So it's worth taking note of that when it comes to running ads. And usually these are dynamic product ads. So this is something that we like to test as well, along with image ads and other types of ads as well. So this is what we do when it comes to running these. And all of these are part of the profit safeguard blueprint that I created, which would enable the brand to scale in all different parts of the funnel, right? Because if you have any of these missing, you're going to end up with suboptimal results. You're not going to get a 3.7 ROI at $23,000 ad spend and a $85,000 revenue if you miss out any parts of these steps here, right? And you don't apply them correctly. And that's why I highly recommend that if you're struggling with any parts of the funnel, that you book in a call with me personally, where we can go into more detail about how we can help your brand scale to these numbers. Whether you're above 30K per month at the moment and you want to scale to 120K a month, 150K a month, very comfortably, very easily in a short period of time, then we can do that for you. I'm showing you here the steps that we have taken to do this with the exact brand. And we effectively added $87,000, $85,000 in extra revenue, bare minimum, to this brand, right? And because of iOS 15, the results here are actually under the numbers are actually larger than they are here because not all of the sales were tracked. So if you are struggling to get to these numbers, I highly, highly recommend that you go ahead and you DM me call on Instagram, right? You DM me the word call, and I can go into more detail about how we can begin the partnership together and how we can go ahead and just scale you to the moon effectively and get you to where you need to get to right now, because time's running out. Things are moving very fast. We've got Black Friday, other different things going on, right? And at the end of the day, you're missing out on tons of revenue, hundreds of thousands of revenue every single month if you do not apply a strategy like this as soon as possible. And your competitors are, so there's no reason why you shouldn't be, right? There's loads of different things that you can do, but the one thing that you should do is effectively get someone to scale your brand, right? Everything else can be taken off. Scaling your brand is one of the most important parts of your business. So it's very important that you act upon this as soon as possible. And, now when we go into the scaling phase, right? The scaling phase becomes the easiest part because we effectively just need to add budget to what is working, right? We identified that we have successfully gone through all of these phases: the awareness phase, nurturing phase, conversion phase, the retention phase, and then all we need to do is just add fuel to the fire and we can effectively scale past $20,000 in ad spend very comfortably with a high ROI, right? In the future, we could easily do $50,000 and bring back $150,000 comfortably, right? And that is what the scaling phase involves. It involves making sure that the brand can cope with the extra amount of customers coming in, and that we are able to make sure that logistics is taken care of, the supply chain is fine, and then we can keep going and scaling as long as the profitability is there. And 9 times out of 10, it will be if you go through all of these phases which I just mentioned, including the creative analysis and the target customer analysis. So that's the scaling phase. And this is how combined we were able to generate $85,000 in actual fact, almost $86,000 in 30-day period at a 3.87 ROI, actually 3.73x ROI, with the profit safeguard blueprint, which are all of these steps I just mentioned. Now, what are the next steps for you as a brand owner, right? There are 3 steps you can potentially take. So one of them could be you can learn this yourself for months and years on end. Why would it be for months and years on end? Well, because effectively, I've given you all the steps now that you can implement for your brand. And obviously, I can't go into all detail on how to implement this completely because it would take me hours and hours upon end. And I use that time wisely in order to scale brands that are already working with us. So again, you can do this yourself. Go through all of these steps here, which I just mentioned, which is the target customer analysis, creative analysis, awareness phase, nurturing phase, conversion, retention phase, scaling phase. You can go through all of these steps here, and you can learn this yourself in more detail, learn from trial and error, and you may just get a fraction of these results here, right? You may just be able to get half, maybe $40,000, $50,000 a month. But why can't you get to $100,000 a month, $85,000 in a single month with a high ROI? Because we are specialists, right? We get paid to do this as to the highest quality as possible, right? But as a brand owner, you don't have the experience to do all of this yourself. You don't have the heuristics to do this yourself. You haven't managed dozens of brands similar to yours, right, with different problems and being able to solve them, right, and know exactly what to do in each point, right? We spent money. We understand how the algorithm works. All of these different things that come into play, right? You'll have to learn all of this yourself. And again, it's going to take you a very long time to master this. And even at that, you're not really supposed to do that as a brand owner, right? You're supposed to get a marketing arm to do that, take care of that for you, so you can focus on more important tasks, which is actually driving the brand revenue and the growth. You're not supposed to be in the business. You're supposed to be on top of it, right? So this is definitely something I don't recommend that you do. But if you really need to do that, then you can look through all of my Instagram content and you can DM me the word 85K for this document, and you can go through all yourself, or you can rewatch this video, right? Because I've gone through a lot here, and you can go through all of these steps again. You can listen to what happened and what exactly I talked about in each of these steps, and then you can try and apply it yourself. But again, I haven't been able to go through it in too much detail because I could talk about this for hours and it will just be a whole day of me talking. So that's what you can do is just view my Instagram content and DM me the word 85K for this document, right? Or you can learn this yourself. Now, the best option for you right now, after you watch this far into the video, is that you can go ahead and book a call as soon as it's convenient for you, right? If you're generating over 30K a month, right? If you're a fashion or e-commerce brand and you're generating over 30K a month consistently, then please book in a call. And this is what I highly recommend. You can DM me the word call on Instagram, and we can go through the process of booking a Zoom call and then going through all the steps, right? And we do have very limited spots. We don't work with everybody. We work with only brand owners who are ready to scale and who have the money to invest, as well as the mindset to let us do that for them in a very automated fashion. And this is what works best. This is what is working right now is you letting us control the marketing so that we can get you to the revenues that you want to get to at our target ROIs, right? And as we know, simplicity is what scales and complexity is fails, as I said in the last two videos, because this is the mantra that we go by, and this is how we are able to go and get amazing results for the brands that we work with, right? So here's what the link will look like when you go ahead and book a call with us and me. It's basically a roadmap session, and this is not a sales call, right? So if you're not ready, then don't book on a call with us because you'll be wasting both of our time, right? So only book in a call if you're 100% ready and 100% ready to go, because we can get your ads up and running within the same week, right? We can pretty much do that because we have a very streamlined process that will allow you to go from point A to point B, and we've optimized every part of the process. So you don't have to worry about whether or not it takes you ages to get things done. We have very fast communication via Slack. Okay, we'll give you reporting every single week on how the ads are performing. You can always ask anytime how the ads are performing, and we will tell you on the spot how they are performing. So, and if there's any worries, you can always talk and let us know what the worries are, and we'll definitely let you know what's happening with the ads and the profitability. But we always ensure that it is profitability when it comes to ads. So, and we also work on a part performance basis. So part of our fees is included in the performance fees, right? So that means that if we don't produce your target ROI every single month, then you won't pay extra for that, right? So this is why we added this risk reversal, and it's more or less a guarantee to us so that you are able to have peace of mind, as we know every brand owner needs to have. So it's very important that you know that. So I hope you're happy with that. So again, just to summarize one more time, you can either learn this yourself, highly don't recommend, and you'll probably see a downward trend in your revenues because you're doing it yourself and you're pretty much declining the brand because you're not focusing on the other parts of the business, which is important. You can view my content on Instagram and DM me the word 85K for this document. And most importantly, please DM me the word call via Instagram, where you can book a call with me ASAP and we can get you started and get you to scaling to 85K plus in a single month very, very comfortably. So thank you for watching this video, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.